The daughter's wedding was the most joyful event for Cynthia in recent years. The celebration was in full swing when an unfamiliar, good-looking man came on the stage and took the microphone. He congratulated the newlyweds and then took the guitar and began to sing. When Cynthia heard his voice, her heart began to beat faster. Is it really him? She thought, with tears welling up in her eyes. The woman was flooded with memories. Cynthia was born in a small provincial town. Her parents were not rich and were raising her strictly. When she grew up, they married her to Peter. Unfortunately, he was drinking a lot. The girl tried to fight his bad habit, but having realized that her efforts did not bring any results, she gave up. Besides, by that time her daughter Diana had already been born, so she devoted all her time to caring for the baby. For 5 years, Cynthia was living in such conditions, but then she decided that she could not continue like this. She left her daughter with her parents and moved to New York in search of a better life. But when the girl was on the train, someone stole her wallet and phone. Having found herself at the railway station without money, she did not know what to do. Cynthia sat down on the bench and started crying. Suddenly, someone touched her shoulder and said, "Why are you crying? Do you need help?" It was an elegantly dressed woman in her 40s. "I don't think you can help me," Cynthia answered with a sob and told everything to the stranger. "I have an idea. The thing is, I'm looking for a housekeeper for my house. You can start working for me. Besides, in this case, you don't have to rent an apartment," said the woman. The girl happily agreed to this offer. As it turned out later, her savior was Elizabeth Marple, the owner of several beauty salons. Her husband was also a businessman, so they could afford to keep the help in the house. However, she did not treat Cynthia as a servant, but rather as a friend. One day, Elizabeth told Cynthia that they were waiting for guests who are coming for Mr. Marple's birthday party. The next day, many people gathered in the house, including the owner's younger brother, Anthony. He was a very handsome young man, and Cynthia just couldn't take her eyes off him. However, Anthony also liked her, so he invited her to dance. After the dance, he took the guitar and began to sing. His voice literally fascinated Cynthia. Apparently, it was at this moment that she had fallen in love with Anthony. The young man was staying with relatives for a whole month. He was spending all his free time with the girl, which Mr. Marple did not like at all. However, the happiness of the young people did not last long. Soon, Anthony got into a car accident. Mr. Marple informed Cynthia that the young man was dead. For the girl, it was a big blow. It felt like her world was falling apart before her eyes. After some time, Cynthia decided that she could no longer stay in the house, where everything reminded her of her beloved. So she said goodbye to Mrs. Marple and went back to her town. At home, the girl fell into a deep depression. It was the same house and the same drunkard husband. However, seeing the morale of his wife, Peter stopped drinking. Gradually, the girl had come to her senses. She forgave her husband, who was now in business, and began to treat him like a very close friend. 7 years had flown by in peace and harmony until Peter got sick. He was diagnosed with cancer. He died 1.5 years later. Since then, Cynthia considered herself a black widow and was afraid to start new relations. And now, at her daughter's wedding, the past had returned to her. She was looking at the singing man, but couldn't recognize him. The voice sounded like Anthony, but it was a different person. And then he came up and, as it was many years ago, invited her to dance. "Anthony, is that you?" she asked. The man nodded affirmatively. As it turned out, Mr. Marple was so unwilling to see his brother and Cynthia's relationship develop that he lied to her that he had been dead. In fact, Anthony was badly injured in the accident, but survived. He spent many months in the hospital and underwent several plastic surgeries. When he was finally discharged, his relatives informed him that Cynthia had decided to return to the family. And only when he found out about her daughter's wedding, the young man decided to visit his beloved one. "Please never disappear again," Anthony asked in a trembling voice. "No, dear, I will not. Now you and I have a whole life ahead of us," Cynthia answered and kissed him.